This is Strengths Based Radio, promoting recovery and well-being through podcasts about mental health. Welcome to Strengths Based Radio. I'm Josh Kurz-Burchard. I'm here with Peter Taylor, who is the author of Smell the Coffee and Wake Up, a Zen Guide to Mindfulness and Self-Discovery. Peter is here to read from his chapter 5 on mindfulness, and the essay is called The Power of Observation. Peter?
Thank you, Josh. The power of observation. To bring about change in your life and in the world, the first thing to do is to observe. Merely by observing something, you change that thing. That is not so obvious with something like a table or a star in the sky, but in your life you can notice the effect. When you observe your breath, watch your inhale and exhale. Try not to affect your breath as you observe it. Try to watch it without changing it. Impossible. The same is true of your thoughts. If you constantly observe your own thinking, your thinking will change. Try not to control your thinking or judge your thinking. Just observe your thoughts and see how their patterns change. It's difficult to observe your thoughts without judging them. Most thoughts are followed by a judgment: good, bad, true, false, strange. These judgments are also thoughts to be observed. As you observe your thoughts, you will notice habits and patterns in your thinking. Because you observe them, those patterns will change. It is impossible to observe without interfering. If you observe with an open mind, your interference will help things fall into harmony. See for yourself.
So, where does one begin when one wants to become a better observer of their own thoughts?
Begin where you are. Begin with your breath and meditation. This is the power of observation. It's somewhat of a mindset of meditation, where you practice observing your thoughts in meditation, and you practice, you practice observing your thoughts wherever you are. You're always thinking, and whenever you think to observe your thoughts, whenever you remember to observe your thoughts, you can stop and see what you're thinking. Say, oh, what am So it's a constant. You're always observing your thoughts in some way or another. So it's whether you're consciously observing them or unconsciously observing them is the key. So and if you decide that I want to observe my thoughts and change my life through observing my thoughts, then as often as you remember, you just check in. What am I thinking?
So someone could do this throughout their day, even, not just when they're sitting in meditation.
No, you do it. Everybody does it throughout their day all the time. That's how our minds work. You get thought.
But there's the ways to get perspective on your thoughts through observation that are more helpful than others, I would imagine.
Right, by just bringing yourself into the role of observer, you're separating yourself from your thoughts, and you're seeing your thoughts as thoughts, what they are. You're not seeing them as oh no, this is how things are. Like a worry. You get a thought, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be late, right? So, okay, that's a thought, and that's a worrisome thought, and then you start, if you don't observe that thought, if you're just going with it, then suddenly you're worried, and you can't do anything about being late, but you can worry about what's going to happen when you're late and how that's going to affect you and how it doesn't fit with who you think of yourself as, somebody who's late, and there's a series of thoughts that follow from that. But when you stop and you observe your thought, I'm thinking I'm going to be late, then you're not just going to spin off on it and you say, oh, maybe I'm going to be late, maybe I'm not going to be late. Maybe I should do something. Maybe I should call somebody and tell them I'm going to be late. Maybe I'll just deal with it when I get there. You stop yourself from spinning off on the thoughts, or you see how you just watch the next thought. Okay, what's the next thought of that?
Right.
What's the next thought?
Right.
So
What if of course, the challenge is being late is one thing, and having a crisis, say, in your family or in your job or in your emotions themselves. What is the best approach to observing thoughts in those situations when they are based in reality?
they are. I mean, even if you're late, that can be based in reality. But those other thoughts are more compelling when you have a real crisis sort of situation, when somebody in your family is in trouble. You're going to worry, and that's kind of when there's a real crisis or something like that. That's your thoughts are generally can be very clear around that. You can see what am I thinking. And you follow, like you don't take yourself, you don't project too far into the future. What am I going to do about this? You're more, in a crisis, you're generally already focused in the present. So again, it's just watching your thoughts and seeing what comes, and you're saying, I can deal, what am I thinking? What's happening and what am I thinking? And it gives you still gives you a little bit of separation from the spinning of your thoughts. That you can see what's going on in your mind and how you're responding to the crisis, rather than just getting sucked into it. So you're just more present through the moment or through the experience, and you have some ability to affect your response and make choices and just be there through the crisis.
So having a level of observation and mindfulness during a crisis can help you get through that crisis more smoothly, with it both internally and externally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can make yourself calm. You can help bring calmness to the situation. You can observe what's going on. You can see what you can do. If there's something you can do to help the crisis, you have, by observing your thoughts, you can try to calm yourself down and see what it is that needs to be done, and see what it is that you can do, and sort of separate whether if you have time that you have to react to the crisis, you can do something. And if there's nothing you can do, you can recognize that and say, okay, I can work with this. How am I feeling? And then you're managing your own experience of the crisis. So it works in any situation.
And can this observation, this power of observation, be helpful to those who feel they've lost control over just their mental and emotional states, whether they're dealing with something like depression or anxiety or PTSD? Is there a place that Zen and mindfulness can have in the lives of people who are dealing with those conditions?
Absolutely. It can, again, it's the natural state of watching, of seeing your thoughts, no matter what your thoughts are. When you have PTSD, it's a good example of having, you've been through a traumatic experience, and then things in your environment remind you of that traumatic experience, and you're living that traumatic experience, and that traumatic experience comes right back to you as though you're right in the middle of it all over again, and it's happening again. The trauma is fresh and real. But if you're able to distance yourself from that even after the fact, that when you're not going through the acute crisis, you can remember that this is something that I do, and you can practice breathing, and you can practice seeing what thoughts come before the crisis. You can see what thoughts come after the crisis. You see what thoughts bring you down. You have a chance to know this. You can tell yourself, this happened then, and I'm having the emotional experience to it now, but it's not happening now. You just give yourself a tiny little sliver of control, a sliver of influence on your reaction to your experience. And that does transform the experience. If you're able to if you're breathing and you're in a calm state and you're able to recall this experience that's traumatic, and then you can change the tone of it, and it stops coming back to you. So it's not easy. It doesn't happen first time, but it is a practice of working with these experiences.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. And we look forward to seeing you again soon to hear the next essay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Strengths-Based Radio. Join us on our website at strengthsbasedradio.org.